Ooh, this is my sexy subject. If NAR is only capable of controlling the MLS, we got it. So they're going to eliminate a field. Big deal. We're hearing about texting. We're talking about code words. We're hearing about showing time. We're hearing about street signs. We're hearing about secret handshakes. We're talking about secret memos, which is really violates the spirit. If the Department of Justice and the plaintiffs initially are calling for an injunction to completely decouple, keep commissions one-sided. Buyer pays his agent, seller pays her agent. Clean. Apple's just like a lawyer. You pay your own advocate, your own for your own representation. If the Department of Justice said in the prior letter of intention that we are the only settlement, I saw this in black and white, that we will approve will include a complete decoupling. Now they're saying that everyone is using every way to say, hey, my seller will pay, so bring your best buyer. Now, there's never been before more equity in America, and there's such a shortage. So this money that is contained in the walls of the house is basically monopoly money. People throw money and then at this problem. So really nothing has changed. And there's the next subject is your favorite one, the S word, steering. So Victoria, you've heard, I won't show that property.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, that's a big problem. You have to give me a minute.
Achoo.
Sorry.
You only need a second, not a minute.
Yeah, well, of course I have to laugh and all that. So, okay, let's go to it. Say it again. So that she can cut that.
It's okay. The sneeze makes you human. Achoo, I'll cough. So Victoria, when there is this equity in the properties and there's such an inventory shortage, which is not going anywhere, and the prices are high and the interest rates are high, it's this crazy perfect storm. Realtors are openly stating on social media, because NAR is not condemning this approach, we won't show the property if it's not enough commission, which is like back to where we were in the 70s, 80s, 90s, where we are. What do you say about people who are not only engaging in this practice, but openly admitting this is what they do?
Yeah, we're seeing it all over social media. Not only are they saying it, they're putting it in writing. And they're saying that basically they are going to violate their fiduciary responsibility to their client, which is blowing my mind, because I say to myself, wow, in one breath, they're saying, commissions have been negotiable and we have such strong value to our clients. And then in the next breath, they're saying, if the seller doesn't pay us, then we won't show the buyer. And that is just unbelievable to me, because one, like I said before, it is a violation of your fiduciary responsibility. If I am your client and I'm the buyer, I'm hoping that you're going to show me everything. And that's the expectation, and if you're saying that you're not going to do that because someone else is not willing to pay you, then that's a big problem, which is the whole reason why this whole thing came about. If I'm the buyer, you should have an agreement with me and I should be paying you. You should be showing me everything, including for sale by owners. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking for a house, I'm relying on your expertise to show me everything that's on the market and telling me where I'm going to get the best, the best deal, or the best house that suits all of the requirements that you and I discussed. So for you to say that you're not going to show the house, yes, it's steering. It's 100% steering, and that is a terrible thing. And mm-hmm. I don't understand why agents are doing it. And I question the brokers that these agents are working with, why they're not giving better direction on saying you should not be saying this. And that is not something that we should be doing.
Well, the brokers are not saying anything because I'll use some nautical references. They don't want to rock the boat. They think they're going to weather the storm, like we're talking about, some ocean faring, seagoing vessel here. But, you're using a very outdated word, show. That's gone. Buyers know the house. You're not going to say what's on the market. And realtors don't search FSBOs. That's just a lie. Okay, they don't. And there's why they're going to go where there's no money versus MLS where there's money everywhere. So that's another thing I'd object to. What the NAR is using the word tour, which implies I'm going to get some.
The word tour. That's Zillow. Zillow is coming out with their touring agreement.
I think it's NAR too. I think Zillow is using that word because NAR did. But nonetheless,
okay.
Tour means, hey, saw the house on Zillow. I'm Scott. Victoria, you're an agent with XYZ Realty. What about this? Oh, okay, let's take a look. So they're looking to get someone to, as you say, facilitate or give advice or make the deal happen using their vast experience and insight. I get that. So they're now required in this new agreement, and they call it buyer agency agreement. Another euphemism because it sounds a lot like an agency agreement, and an agreement is something, or an agency smacks of disclosure about something that's not of your doing. Call it a contract. It's a compensation contract. The C word is a bad word, contract. It's every other case. You get a loan, you just get a title, you get a home inspector, you get a mover, you get a stager. Everything is a contract. But
word is it, that you're saying is the bad word is the contract. I think the C word that's the bad word here is the compensation.
No question. Right.
That's ask for compensation for the value that they provide. If you are
it's always been hidden. It's always been hidden.
Able to get a compensation agreement for the service that you provide. End of story. Then we don't have this problem.
Right. And then there's no, I don't know if you're aware, but I mean, people should know that on that new required contract, and I think out of everything, that's the one that's sticking. Everything else could maybe change, but that's sticking because that's what the DOJ wants. A contract for compensation is the perfect example of the expression of decoupling. That's what they want. The end. That means you just the way you sign a lease for a Jeep, you don't just walk in and get a car and hope someone else pays for it. So now you're going to have that. But that agreement or that contract says that you have to walk out from your relationship or from your contact with a dollar certain, meaning 3% or X dollars. It can't be open-ended where, hey, I'll take you out. If they offer me 2%, whatever, 19%, 88%, whatever the numbers are, I'll take that. It cannot be open-ended. So that means all the up in the air, I want to see the properties. So no longer can you be a looky-loo. No longer can you could bind yourself to 4 realtors seeing 4 houses. You have to agree to a dollar figure. And that's never been done because you don't know, you never paid. And as you said, agents speak to this. They never got agreements before when it was free. So tell me that. That's your point.
Yeah, well, I always said that, everyone's saying that nothing will change, but everything will change because when this was a free service, and I say that kind of facetiously because it was never really free, but according to the buyer, and the buyer really felt that they weren't paying it. They felt that the seller was paying it even though the buyer was always paying it because it was built into the price of the house. But because they weren't writing the actual check, they felt I don't have to pay for it. And that commission was always put into the listing agreement from the very beginning. So again, there was no negotiating that. No one ever talked about it. Buyers had no idea what the agent was actually making on that,
right.
on that sale. So that was just off the table. No one ever even discussed it.
And I mean, to your point, think about how ridiculous this was. One of the first Remax's first settlement proposed terms said, I mean, I was like, what? They go, we won't say it's free anymore. I mean,
right.
Kids, how unprofessional. So you admit you said it was free, and it was never free. It was the other F word, not that F word. It was the other F word, financed. It was financed. No one ever agreed, can I finance this sum of money? No one ever agreed to that. No one ever said this is part of my loan of value. So think about it. A company, one of the biggest companies in America, had a promise they wouldn't lie anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So